Hello again. Um, Tonight I thought I would talk about a couple of the different manga series that I'm kind of currently reading. There's a number of manga that I've finished that I definitely want to talk about. But I thought tonight I would just focus on four titles that I'm kind of currently in the middle of reading. Um, I guess you could say I actually have a couple more series than four, but these are the four that I'm kind of actively trying to kind of currently consume. Um, and I wanted to talk about manga because, like I said, my main passion is probably video games, but I really have enjoyed uh, reading manga more in the past couple of years, quite a bit. When I was younger, in my teens, I kind of started um, reading. I had a lot of Ghost in the Shell, Masamiro. What I can't think of the author of that of Ghost in the Shell, but I loved all of his works. Appleseed, um, Black Magic. I collected a whole bunch of his stuff, and also Rumiko Takahashi, I think. Um, Ranma One Half, Maison Ikuku, um, uh, Urusei Yatsura. All of her works are I used to read when I was a teenager, and it kind of got me. It was like my introduction to manga, and um, I really enjoyed it. And I kind of, I mean, Ghost in the Shell is heavier and stuff, but I kind of enjoyed just lighter type stuff when I was younger. Um, but in recent years, I've kind of rediscovered the medium, and I've been reading a lot more. Started kind of collecting series, and um, it's I've read some series that have really opened my eyes to what manga can be. I mean, it's a very interesting medium. It it does things that other things can't do. You know what I mean? Like I love games, I love music, I love movies, I love all these different things, but uh, manga is something very specific, and it does things that other things can't do. It builds tension through turning the pages, and there are just moments of reading the frames, and you get to a page turn and you're just dreading it. You're like, oh my god, I don't want to turn this page, but I have to. Like that kind of tension is so amazing, and I've really enjoyed that. And it's a really special medium. I like anime, and I almost always prefer the manga after I've kind of had a chance to experience both of them. So it's very important. It's great. Um, it's kind of inspired me. I've always liked to draw, but I would love to make my own manga or comic someday. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but it's kind of a long introduction. I just wanted to talk about why I love it so much. But let me go over a couple of different series that I'm reading. Visual aids this time. This is Dead Dead Demons, Dead 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 Destruction. Um, Again, I mentioned that I previously that I had read Goodnight Pun Pun was my introduction to Inio Asana. Goodnight Pun Pun is a separate video, which I'm going to make at some point. But I just start. I watched the anime of this, so I'm kind of familiar with how the story plays out. I was so excited to find out that he actually had one of his works adapted to anime that I watched it right away after I read Pun Pun, and I loved the anime, and so I loved it so much. I was like, okay, I mean, I'm on a mission to read everything this guy's written. He's just so good. Um, Dead Dead Demons, like the story of it is amazing. It's sci-fi, aliens. His characters are just so delightful and rememberable, and um, just he writes very humanistic characters that are very easy to relate to. Um, and the character designs are really can be very goofy, contrasted with his very realistic backgrounds. Very interesting art. I'm interested to see how the story is portrayed in the comic of it as opposed to the anime. I'm sure it goes into more depth and stuff. Um, just so many things that this series touched was so interesting that I'm very interested to read it. I'm about halfway through the first book. I purchased the whole series because again I'm going to read everything this guy has written. So I have all of it. I just started reading it recently, so I'm on the first book. It's great. The art is great. The story I already know is great. It's just fantastic. I love this, love this, love this. Um, so again, if you've never read anything by Inio Asano, I highly recommend it. Fantastic author, artist, um, highly recommended, and I'm very excited to see where this goes because I've only started it. All right, the second one I got here. Okay, Witch Hat Atelier. So this series is great. Um, I have I'm on book three. I just finished book 3 tonight. I was reading with my son, and I have the first 4 books, and it's great. The series is really cool. Um, it's it's uh it's it's like a fantasy. It's very PG rated fantasy about a young girl, Coco. Her mom gets kind of a spell cast on her or something. She's like trapped, and she goes with this witch, and she's kind of at this atelier, and she's becoming a witch. She's like learning how to. She wants to do it to save her mother, who's like in stone. The artwork is great. It's so whimsical, and it's like it's PG, but it's like it doesn't matter. It's like so good. It's like these 4 little like young girls are at this atelier, and they're like their teacher Keyfree like teaching them how to draw spells. This fantasy world is really it's unique. It's kind of got like a touch of Harry Potter ish type stuff. I haven't really read Harry Potter, but it's got that vibe to it. Artwork is fantastic. There is drama, conflict. Um, Characters are beautiful, likable. Just man, I think the high point is like the world building, like the world, like the form that magic and takes place in this world, the mysteries of this world. It's very interesting, very unique, very creative. Like bravo to the author. Just fantastic. I think I heard that they're taking this into an anime soon, so I will definitely be watching that. But for now, I'm on. I'm gonna start book 4 soon. Um, it's great right from the get go. Really great series, and I would also say there's a spin off of it, which had Atelier like kitchen or something like that. Um, and it's just like each chapter is like a recipe, but it's like in the story. It's very good as well. I have just the first book of that. My son is obsessed with like baking and cooking, and he loves the series, and so we started reading the kitchen version of it with like all these recipes, and he is like it's like I think it's like his favorite series. He's like bugging me to get the next issue. So anything about Witch Hat Atelier is great. I highly recommend it. All right, 2 more. All right, so from a PG to rated R, Fist of the North Star is very good. So, and it's cool. It's like the version I'm collecting is like a hardback cover, and so I decided to start reading Fist of the North Star because um, my favorite series, which I'll again talk about at some point, is Berserk. Berserk is the greatest story ever. Berserk is the greatest anything ever, right? Um, But I finished Berserk, and I was like, what else is like Berserk? Well, I started learning about Fist of the North Star. This is a very like 90s uh, manga, and I actually like when I was a teenager in the 90s, I remember seeing the like trailers for the anime, and it looked cool, but it was like super violent, and I never got a chance to watch it. Back then in the 90s, anime was like hard to get a hold of, right? And anyways, this series is great. I have read the first three books. I have book four, haven't started it yet, but through the first three books, fantastic. Um, didn't know what I was going to think about it, but it's so good. I mean, you can see this series has influenced hundreds of manga anime. Like, this is so influential. Um, did I say that right? Influential. I think so. It the main character is so badass, and I mean, this is it's Mad Max the manga. Yeah, I mean, it basically takes place in like the world of Mad Max, such a wasteland where it's like a desert post-apocalypse, and only the tough survive. And it's so sad. I mean, because in that kind of a situation, it's just gangs. I mean, who's tough? I mean, kill to survive, kill for water, kill for everything. It's just such a cutthroat world, um, and they don't shy away from it. I mean, there's a lot of like women and children dying in this. Like, gangs will just kill kids, and it doesn't hide it. It's just brutal. Um, but I mean, that brutality makes it like real. It makes it interesting. And the main character, I don't know why his name's escaping me right now, but the main character is OP. He's really powerful, and he's like the one guy that's got like a heart for these kids in this world. And God bless that man. He is trying to make things right, and he can't always do it because the world is just such a disaster. But thankfully, he's so strong. I mean, it's a very violent series if you're into that. He does these. He'll like touch somebody, and then like he'll like stop, and they'll be like, "What did you do?" And he's like, "You're already dead." And like 2 seconds later, their head will explode in some like gory fashion, and he'll be like, "That was the ninjutsu, blah 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 blah, technique." It's cool. Like the action is cool. Um, it's I guess you could say it's a little cheesy or whatever, but it's really awesome. Fist of the North Star. I watched the first episode of the old school anime. It's awesome. Um, I would like to watch more of it. But 90s anime it hits good. And but this series is great. I do want to read it. I think there's quite it's a long running series from the 90s, so I think there's quite a few books. Again, I only got the first four right now, but definitely something I want to collect. Great story. A lot of fun to read. All right, last one I'll talk about tonight is Vinland Saga. Um, so again, this also, I finished Berserk. I'm looking for like what else gives me that Berserk feeling, and I was recommended uh, on YouTube and wherever Vinland Saga, and I didn't know what I would think about it. It was based on like Norse, like Viking mythology, or I guess history, um, and I was like, okay, it's not really a super interest of mine. So I didn't know what I was going to think, but I went ahead and I just got the first deluxe edition because I have all of the Berserk deluxe editions, and they're awesome. I love reading the larger print with the hard covers. It's so cool. And so I purchased this. They're kind of expensive. I only have the first one, but I have read this whole thing, and I'm hooked. Vinland Saga is good. After reading the first book, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I want this. It's great. And it's mostly characters. I mean, the artwork is great. The setting is interesting, but such strong characters. What's the? I could never, I hit record and I can never remember like details like characters' names, but like the main character of Vinland Saga is just what a what an interesting character, and they'll go back. The story is like it shows him now, very disturbed, angry, revengeful person. Then it goes back to when he was a child. You see his father. You learn the story of why he's so revengeful and angry. Um, but great world building, my goodness, like great world characters, art. It's not as dark as North Star Berserk, but it's a difficult time uh, to be alive, and so it's a lot of war, a lot of fighting to survive, and a lot of conflict. But great characters. Anytime they like bad guy characters, they feel deep. They feel interesting. In this first book, I remember they go to this one. They're like, and I guess it's actually kind of historic. It's like semi-historical. They're like attack. These Vikings are going into the UK, I think, and they're trying to take this area over. And there's this bridge they can't take over, but it's hard to get into too much. But just again, the main takeaway is that characters, great writing, great action. Um, After one book, I just want to know all of these characters. There seems like there's such great drama between everybody, and the setting is cool too. So, um, really looking forward to continuing Vinland Saga. Again, I only have the first book. Um, they're a little expensive, around like $50 a pop. So um, it'll be a little slower to collect all those, but they're really good. So again, um, just wanted to blab about some of the stuff I'm reading. A whole bunch of other series I've read, or I'm kind of also still kind of currently reading, but I'm maybe caught up on Chainsaw Man, that I want to talk about in the future as well. Um, but yeah, manga is great. If you haven't read any of these, like I said, they're all recommendations, even though I'm not all the way through them yet. Um, and if you have read all of these, like, what do you think? Like, anyone watching this, like, read manga? What do you dig? I don't know. I like to hear about it. So, um, I don't know. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. I'll catch you next time. Take care.